Hey guys, it's Pete with Airbrush Events. I got my airbrush kit. I bring these at all my events, and usually I wanted to show you how I set up the airbrush kit. Hey guys, it's Pete with Airbrush Events. I got my airbrush kit. I bring these at all my events, and usually I have an air compressor, but today I'm going to demonstrate with some CO2 because we're working indoors and want to keep it kind of quiet. So I just wanted to show you how I set up the airbrush kit. It's basically a toolbox. This is the first version of, I call it the kit, working on an updated version right now. It's going to be a flight case instead, so it's going to be a lot more durable, plus some upgraded parts inside. So let me show you how it works. For starters, on the outside you can see it's got some bolts with some wing nuts, so I'm just going to take those off. The bolts stay in place, but the wing nuts come off. And then I'm going to empty the kit. I got a lot of small parts in here, so I usually take those out first before I pull out the airbrushes. So I'm just gonna empty it out. And I'll show you what each one of these does in a moment. Okay, so the last thing I have in here is the airbrushes themselves. It's an airbrush bottle rack combination. I take the small stuff out first because if I just go ahead and pull this out, everything else ends up falling on the floor. As you can see, come a little closer, I'll show you something. I have some spare bottles inside here. So when I run out of airbrush paint, rather than fill the bottle, because usually we're at an event, it's a lot quicker to just swap out the bottle. Plus a lot neater, and I'll have another video on that, talking about that later. There's a lot of advantages to just swapping out bottles instead of refilling them. Okay, so I got everything out of the box. Now I'm going to take the box. I don't have to close the latches, but it makes it a little easier if I pick it up. I'm going to spin it around. I have a cover here that I use. This is just for aesthetics. Like, you know, if we're doing a formal event like a bar mitzvah or a corporate, I don't want to show the toolbox because they do get banged up and kind of ugly. So I got these covers. Put the cover on first and line it up with the holes so you get the bolts show through. And now I attach the bottle rack. Okay, so the box, you know, does a couple of things. It gives everything a lot of stability, and it's not easy. It's almost impossible now to knock over the bottle rack onto the floor. I can even pick it up and move it around if I have to. But we still need an easel, so let's do that. Step one is I have this, I call it an Easel Prop Rod. You'll see why. There's a bolt on the end with some threaded rod. I'm going to pull this up for a second. And on the back side of this toolbox, there's a hole where I just slide that in and put the bolt back. Finger tight is good. It doesn't have to be super tight. Oh, you know what? I did it wrong again. I'm rushing this. Or they want to put it through here first, through the cover. You can see that, well, maybe you can't in the video, but this kit has, I think 3 years or at least 2 years of mileage on it. So it's pretty well used, and I'm happy to say nothing is broken on it in all those years of usage, but it is starting to look a little worn out. So the new kits will be a lot more durable and easier to keep clean. So now I got my prop rod in place. This is my easel. It folds in half. It's sort of like a hinge. And the reason why I did that, I used to have just a one-piece easel board. My goal was to have everything fit as portably as possible into one box, because sometimes we have out-of-state events, and it's much easier just to check it as luggage. I can save money if I just have one piece of luggage instead of two. So it basically checks just like a suitcase. I think the total weight is under 35 pounds with everything inside. So that was the goal. This I call a prop rod mounting plate. You can call it whatever you want, but that's essentially what it does. It helps me mount the prop rod to the easel backboard. Screw that in like that. Now these are nothing more than clips, right? You can get these at like Office Max or something like that, Office Depot. So I use that to hold these boards in place, but then it also, when I'm setting up, I use it to attach that to the easel. Okay, so now this is all one piece. I can pick it again. I can pick this up and move it if I have to. We have the air hose. I'm going to plug that into this air tank. Okay, so there you go. I got the easel set up. Now I have a shirt board, and this is for painting hats like trucker style caps or baseball caps. So let's start with the shirt board. I'm gonna make a little room here. So for the shirt board, again, there's gonna be an upgraded version of this as well. So it requires fewer parts, but the essence of it is the same for the new kit. I grab about 8 of these, maybe 9. These are just smaller versions of the same clips that I use here. All right, and just like the easel, this shirt board folds in half. And these pieces are just put on the back to make it rigid so that it doesn't fold while I'm using it. And I'm just going to use the clips to hold this in place. So normally, you know, for the purposes of this video, I'd put 4 on the bottom and then 4 on the top, maybe even 5, but just to get this done, I'll demonstrate with 4 clips total. So you can see now that this is all attached, it makes the board rigid. It does have a ridge on one side and not the other, so if you're going to be painting both sides of the shirt, you want to keep that in mind. Most of the artwork, it goes in the middle anyway, so it's never really been a problem with me, but you know, most of the time we only paint on one side of the shirt anyway, so I use the flat side. And that's it. So we stretch the shirt over that. I don't have it with me, but I do have a clip-on LED light that goes here. Most events we do work in dark environments, so that's helpful. A couple other things I have. I need to go grab a hat. Okay, so I got a hat, and this is how the hat holder works. Again, I got 3 different sizes of clips, so these are the largest versions of the clip. I'm going to use that to clip it right onto the easel. I don't even need to move the shirt board, I can go right over it. And then I got medium clips that are permanently attached. So I just clip one side of the hat and then the other. And that's it. So that's my hat holder. So I have everything I need to do hats and shirts and other things like towels or whatever. It's pretty much all I need for an event. Compressor, this box, and a box of shirts or hats or whatever it is that we're painting. So, lastly, I have this. You can get these at a local sign shop. It's basically a roll-up banner, and it has all the designs that we paint. There. So that's our menu of designs that we use for nearly all our events. I know that a lot of airbrush companies have larger variety of samples that they offer their guests, and that's cool, but we kind of went with a real simple approach. All of these take less than 2 minutes to paint. Maybe some of my artists might take a little longer, but they don't have to. I can do most of them in about a minute, actually, and that was the goal, because we wanted to be able to service large events. So the faster we can paint a t-shirt or a hat, the more we can provide for the guests without having extra artists. So that would be on display. And obviously we like to set up with our backs towards the audience or the guests or the party so they can watch us paint. So generally we'll have like a table here with our easel and another table behind us that we put the displays like this, as well as the blank t-shirts. Compressor goes under the table so no one sees it. Any empty boxes, the same thing. So that's pretty much it.